Hey everybody, it's Nancy Amato, the Be More Stamper. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I was trying to do this live on YouTube, but clearly I have not watched enough videos to figure out what I am doing wrong. So I'm just popping back over here on Facebook tonight. I'm not sure if anybody's going to find me live or not because I told you guys I'd be on YouTube. So I will upload this to YouTube once we are finished tonight. But if you are here live, say hi in the comments. I'd love to see you. I know it's been forever and ever, it seems, since I have done a live. But I wanted to show you this cute card here, and I wanted to make this one with you tonight. Let me show you the products we're going to use to make this card. I am just loving this washi tape. Look at these flowers. Aren't they gorgeous? And you don't need to color anything. They're already done for you. So this makes a nice little card very quickly for you with some washi tape. So let's look at our annual catalog. I want to show you what we are using tonight. We are going to be using the Right Words stamp set. Okay, that is on page 89 of our annual catalog. This is a great greeting set with lots and lots of options for different events. And then we are going to be using this Extraordinary Flora bundle. Okay, we're not actually going to use the stamp set this time, but we are using the dies. And we are using this amazing washi tape right here. And I'm going to show you how we can cut all of these flowers out and then assemble them on our card. Alrighty, so let's get started. I did have this sticker that I purchased at a recent My Sunday Market at White Marsh. And I thought, oh, this is me. Please be patient. I'm from the 1900s. This is really true tonight. Let's put it that way. All right. So first of all, here is the roll of washi tape. You get approximately 10 yards on this roll, and the color schemes are alternate. So one time you're going to have more of the pinky flowers. The next time you're going to have more of the purple rosy flowers. Okay. So I think the next one on our roll is going to be the pink ones. And here is what we're going to do. Here's one already done on the piece of paper. You usually need about a 4 by 6 inch piece of cardstock. And this time I'm doing basic white. You don't have to do basic white. When you lay this washi tape onto different colors of cardstock, you get a whole different look to the flowers because the color of the cardstock is coming through. So we are just going to carefully unroll this. And there is kind of a break that you can see between the two color schemes. Okay, so you're going to unroll it. It's about 6 inches, and then you see this bigger break and you start to see the next color of the pattern of flowers. So I usually just grab my snips and just cut this off just like this. Okay, now it is also very helpful, let's see, to have a gift card of some sort or old credit card or something like that, just to smooth out the wrinkles. Okay, so I like to lay this down by putting the middle part of this washi tape, sticking this down, and then I am just going to use this Panera gift card here to roll that out. Okay, then I'm going to do the same thing right here. All right, so this is one of them. Let's do, since I've cut a second one, let me pull off like the different color scheme as well, so you can see what that looks like. And again, here is that break. You can see the next color starting to appear. So I'm just going to take my snips and snip that off. And again, if it rolls up on itself like this, don't panic. It is all fine. And then I'm just going to lay this down. I'm going to push in the middle. Okay, and then roll that. Use the credit card or the gift card to just like smooth that out. For those of us old enough to remember wallpapering, remember that little tool we had that would help us get all the bubbles out? That's basically what we're doing with this, okay? Alrighty, so now you can see the two different color schemes. This one is a little more, I think, flirty flamingo. And then this one is a little more of the purpley. I'm trying to think. Let's see if it says it in the catalog. Let's see. It says the washi tape is on page 125. Let's see if it tells us exactly what colors are in there. It does not on here, but I do know that it seems like it's more of like our purples, like our pinky purples, maybe like a fresh freesia or a berry burst. I don't know. I'll have to match them up and see. Alrighty. So once you have your flowers right on your piece of basic white paper, now it is time to pull out the die that goes with this. Okay? The die in this bundle is just the single die, and it cuts out all of these flowers in one pass, which is absolutely amazing. All right, so let's do that. I'm going to bring in my big old Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. Now, if I cut my base papers, they're a little bit more narrow. I could probably use the mini machine. All right, so I am going to put this right here. I know it's probably a little hard for you to see. I'm going to put my paper down first and then lay this die right on top here and wiggle it around till it is in the perfect spot to cut out all of these flowers. Then I'm going to use a top plate, a #1 plate, and I'm going to crank it through. So I'll move my machine. You'll be able to see it a little bit better as it's coming out of this side. Okay, there we go. That is one of them. And I do like to use a magic mat. It helps me get a lot more use out of my clear plates. All right, let's do the second one as well. Since we have it done, let's do the pinky one as well. Okay, again, I am putting my paper right there. I'm going to lay the die right on top. And then the clear plate right on top of that. And crank that on through. Alrighty. So we can put our machine away. We are finished with that. Let me just put this down next to me on the floor. And now you basically can see how all of these images are cut out with that die. All you have to do is punch them on through. And look at that, you have all of those flowers. So here are the pinky ones. I'm going to keep them in a stack. All right, they're going to be over here to the side. And then here are the purpley ones. These are the ones we're going to use tonight, I think. Okay. And then you can just put this in your recycling bin. Alrighty, so I'm going to use these flowers tonight. So this washi tape, it does come approximately 10 yards. You get 3 out of a yard. Okay, so yeah, 6. No, you get 6 to a yard because it's 6 inches. Yep, so you will get approximately 60 sets of these flowers, 30 in one color and 30 in the next color. Alrighty, so let's bring in our sample once again and our supplies. For this card, we are going to need a base card, and this is 8.5 by 5.5 scored and folded in the middle at 4 1/4. Okay, just like that. For the inside, we are just going to need a piece of basic white that is 4 by 5 1/4. That's going to be our inside panel. Our outside panel is the same size, 4 by 5 1/4. And I already used an embossing folder on this just to give it a little bit of detail. This is the Damask Designs embossing folder. This is also in our annual catalog. Okay, so this is what this paper looks like. Here, I'll hold the inside piece that we're using so you can kind of see like the before and the after. It just gives that nice subtle little detail. I love it. I love texture. So I love texture and Stampin' Dimensional. So watch out. We're going to be popping up some flowers today. Alrighty. So those are both the same size. And then I die cut 2 circles from our Spotlight on Nature dies. This one is in the same color as the base, the soft seafoam. And this one is going to layer on top of it. And this is in the basic white. So the greetings we are going to use tonight, the first one for the outside, it says, "I wish I had the right words for a time like this." And then the inside is going to be, "But just know how much I love and care about you." Okay, so let's get that stamped. Here is the stamp we need for the outside. And we are going to aim this right around 3 o'clock on the clock in this circle. Okay, so I'm just going to tap my stamp gently. I'm going to check. Yep, it looks all wet on there and shiny. And then I'm going to stamp it in this right side, kind of at 3 o'clock on a clock. All right, so that is first. And then while we have our ink pad open, let's grab our greeting. And do that. All right, same thing. Just tap the stamp. You can check and make sure it's shiny. That means it's wet. And then just push down, straight down. Don't rock the stamp or anything, and then lift straight up. Alrighty, that is all the stamping we need to do for this card. All right, so I can put those away. Alrighty. Here is what we are going to do. So we are just going to layer this right onto this circle, and we're going to just layer this flat because we're going to be popping up a lot of these flowers. So I'm just going to use my Stampin' Seal, run that along the back, and just center this on this other circle. Okay, and we put that aside. Now let's open up our card base. We can put our inside greeting in there a while. And this piece is a 1/4 inch smaller, so you have a nice little border around all 4 edges. Okay, that's the inside. Let's flip it. So this is the outside, and now we're going to put this panel on the front, the one that we did with the Damask Designs embossing folder. And for this, I like to put a good amount of adhesive on there because this is bumpy. I don't want it falling off the card. Okay, so there we go. All right, so that one is on there. Now it's time to put our circle. Again, we are just going to put this on flat because we are popping up a lot of flowers. All right, so I'm just going to use my regular adhesive. And because it's going to be holding some of these flowers, I do want to put a fair amount of Stampin' Seal on there. All right, so we have this right here. Now we're going to start to build our flowers. What I like to do is kind of organize them by size and if they're leaves or flowers. So I'm going to put my largest here, my medium flowers here, and all my leaves here. That's a leaf. Okay, and that's another medium. And here's like the teeny tiny space filling flowers. Here's another leaf. This one we're not going to use, I do know that. So I'm just going to put that over to the side. And then here is our little rosebud. Alrighty, so we are going to look at this circle like it is a clock. All right, and we are going to use these 3 biggest flowers first as our anchor flowers. So let me hold this up. It is a little bit hard to see because we have all of these other ones already layered on there. But we are going to start with this rosebud right here. We can just lay it down. Okay, this one is going to go up here, and then this one here is going to go there. So if we're still using that clock, okay, this single rose here is about at 5, the 5 o'clock area. This flower right here is around 7, and this one here is at 10. We are going to pop the 3 of these flowers up with dimensionals, but we only want to use 1 dimensional on the back because eventually we will be tucking things under them, okay? So you don't want to put a ton of dimensionals on the back of here because then you're going to block the space that you would have to stick those leaves under there. So there we go. Just 1 right in the middle. That will do it. Okay, so this is going to be our 5 o'clock flower. He's right there. This one is our 7 o'clock flower. All right, so he has 1 dimensional right there. And put him right around the 7 on o'clock. And then this one right here is our 10 o'clock flower. Okay, just 1 dimensional right in the middle. That will hold it. And we're going to stick him right around 10 o'clock. Alrighty. Okay, the next things we're going to pull up. So here are the flowers we've already done. 1, 2, and 3. Those are the ones that are popped up. The rest of these are going to be put on flat. And I do recommend some of our Tombow liquid glue because it gives you the ability to kind of slide those flowers into place. And then we can just hold them down until that glue starts to grab. All right, so let me see, this bottle might have a little bit more in it. All righty, so let's look at our flowers again. Let's find this leaf right here. That is going to be this one. Okay, this is the leaf we're going to be doing first. And this is going to tuck in, actually I should have that sticking up a little bit more so I can lift it and turn it a little bit. There we go. This is going to stick right underneath of there, okay, and go right over the top here. So I am just going to put just the littlest bit of glue. We don't want too much. Okay, just a little blob of glue there. And I'm going to stick him right there and hold that down. Let that glue grab and we are good to go with that. Okay, the next leaf we're going to do is this one. This one is going to go, whoops, let me lift this up right here. And we want to be mindful of the fold of the card, so I am going to close the card, because if we would stick this way out here and have this hanging over, it is not going to fit into our envelope. Okay, so we are going to put this right in there. So that is going to be underneath of our 10 o'clock flower. So I'm just going to put a little bit of our liquid glue right there. Lift up our 10 o'clock flower and then put those leaves down. And let that grab a quick second. All right. Okay. So that is that leaf bunch right there. Now we're going to pick out our little rosebud sprig. That is going to go on top of those leaves we just put in there. Okay. And the bottom of that is going to go underneath of our 7 o'clock flower. Alrighty. So here we go. We have this one here. There we are. I'm going to slide this up just a bit. And again, we want to be careful about that fold area here of the card because we want this to fit in our regular envelope. All right, so we have that built. The next thing we're going to need is this little golden leaf sprig, because this curves this way. This is going to help us keep this nice and full, and then that is going to go right there. All right, so this is still going to go underneath this popped up 7 o'clock flower on top of the rose sprig, but we're going to just have the littlest part of the top showing. And you can keep it on top of that one as well. Our 10 o'clock sprig, if you would like, or 10 o'clock rose. Okay, that just adds a little bit more texture and detail. So once it gets starting to be built here, I like to use my snips just to reach under there, and I can push the bottom of that down so it grabs. And this is right where our little linen thread bow is going to go. So don't worry too much about that, because we're going to have a bow right there as well. All right, our next leaf group, we're going to start working from 5 o'clock now around. We're going to use this little leaf right here. And this is going to tuck underneath of that 5 o'clock rose right there. So just a little bit of glue. And then lift that up and put that under. And you can always use your snips just to push that down a little bit. Okay. Now we need our little piece of, our little cone flowers. Okay. They are going to go right like this. And I know right now we're going to see their stems, but they are going to be covered up by one of these big flowers. So don't worry about that. We just want them to fill in that space right there. So let's put some green glue here. And put this on top. And just press that down a quick second. And now we're going to let's take this big flower. We're going to take this big single flower, and that is going to fit right here underneath of our 7 o'clock flower, but covering up the stems of those little cone flowers. All right, so that's going to go in there. A little bit of glue. not too much. You don't want it squishing out onto your card. There you go. That one's right there. Okay, so we're just going to push that down and wait for a quick second. And then for this little sprig, I like putting this on the inside on our greeting page. Okay, so like right there in the corner is the perfect little spot for that. Okay, so your leftover pieces for this color scheme, you have 3 flowers, a little teeny leaf, and then you have like this eucalyptus strand here that you can use for another card. Now, of course, you can always add these in. You can keep adding flowers if you like, you know, to keep building it. But I thought this was probably enough for what I was going for this particular design. So I will just save these flowers and use them for another card. Alrighty, the last thing we need to do, this is one of my favorite accessories, the linen thread. I just love linen thread, as you can tell. So we are going to just make a bunny ear bow of this linen thread. So we leave it on the spool. We're going to pull a piece straight right here. And I am right-handed, so I'm going to start with my right hand, but this will work if you're left-handed as well. You just have to start with your left hand. So I'm going to make just a loop like this and pinch it between my thumb and my pointer. And I'm going to leave about 2 inches, make another loop, and then hold that between my thumb and pointer of the other hand. I have a tail about 2.5 inches long. So I'm going to take these 2 loops, cross them over like bunny ears, and then just push that first loop in that hole, in that space that we left, and pull. And that is going to make a bow. You might need to adjust it a little bit as you go along, but you can make the loops bigger or smaller. And then you're going to cut it from the spool. You don't want to cut your thread first because you might cut yourself short, and then you don't have enough thread for a bow, and it's just harder on your fingers to make, to be quite honest with you. So that is going to go right there. We will trim up this tail a little bit. I'm just going to see which tail sort of works best with that greeting there. I think this one's going to behave a little bit better even once we trim it. So we're going to just need a glue dot to attach this to the front. So let me just bring out my snips again. I'm just kind of rolling the glue dot onto itself because this linen thread is not wide at all, and I am putting it right there, right here on top of, let me hold it up and see if you can see it. It is right there on top of like that golden leaf sprig that we have here. So there is my glue dot right there. And now I'm just going to take my bow and push the knot of the bow right into the glue dot. And I need to trim this little guy. He needs a haircut. There we go. And there we have it. So you can see this card is not really hard at all to make. When you see all these flowers at first, it looks a little bit intimidating, but once you just figure out it's just 5 o'clock, 7 o'clock, and 10 o'clock, and then just tuck the other pieces under, it really does come together very quickly. The coloring is beautiful. It's already done for you with the washi tape. So you don't have to worry about using your blends or your colored pencils or anything like that. Here is the other sample with more of the pink color scheme. Let me know in the comments which one you like better. Do you like the pinky one or the purple one? Everybody has a different opinion. I'd be interested to see what you say. So yeah, this is the card that I was making last week with the Extraordinary Flora bundle and this wonderful washi tape. I believe this is in stock still in the US. I'm hoping it is because I need to order some more. I keep playing with this and I'm starting to run out, believe it or not. I feel like I'm running out. I need an extra roll. So thank you for joining me tonight. I'm sorry I wasn't live on Facebook like I had planned. I think I need to train myself a little bit more on how to go live on Facebook and have a horizontal look instead of the vertical look. That was my problem tonight. So hopefully I will get my act together. But again, my sticker, you know, you're trying to teach a boomer some new stuff. So if you have any questions, let me know. I'll be happy to help you. I am a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in the United States. So if you have any questions or would like a catalog or buy any of these products that we've used tonight, you can find me at nancyamato.stampinup.net. Thank you so much for joining me. Take care. Bye-bye.